Osmosis is the movement of water from a dilute to a more concentrated solution through a partially permeable membrane. You can think of osmosis as the diffusion of water molecules. We need to make sure that we understand the difference between dilute and concentrated. A dilute solution is a solution which has a high concentration of water molecules and a low concentration of the solute. The solute is the particle dissolved in the water, so this could be sugar. A concentrated solution has a lower concentration of water molecules and a higher concentration of the solute. A partially permeable membrane is just a membrane which only allows certain substances through. For osmosis to occur, the membrane must allow water molecules through. Osmosis occurs in the body when water moves into and out of cells. The net movement of the water molecules is dependent on the concentration gradient between the cytoplasm of the cell and the surrounding areas of the cell. If the solution outside the cell has a higher concentration of solutes than the solution inside the cell, the net movement of water molecules will be out of the cell. We say that the surrounding solution is hypertonic to the cell. This causes the cell to become shriveled. If the solution outside the cell has the same concentration of solutes as the solution in the cell, the net movement will be zero and the solutions are said to be isotonic, or the same. If the solution outside the cell is hypotonic to the cell, this means that the solution outside the cell has a lower concentration of solutes than the solution inside. The net movement of water particles in this case would be into the cell. This could lead to the cell bursting. The concentration of the solution in the cell can vary when chemical reactions take place. These chemical reactions may use up water or produce water in the process. Osmosis in plants is a bit different. Plant cells have a cell wall and a vacuole. If water moves into a plant cell, it causes the vacuole to swell and pushes the cytoplasm against the cell wall. This causes a pressure to build up, and this pressure is known as Turgor pressure. The cell wall prevents the cell from bursting. When water enters plant cells, it makes them rigid. But if water leaves the cells by osmosis, the Turgor pressure decreases. This means the cell becomes flaccid, and if the water continues to leave, the cell will become plasmolysed. Plasmolysis occurs when the cell membrane starts to pull away from the cell wall. The next required practical is to do with investigating osmosis in plants. Potato cylinders are weighed and measured. Each potato cylinder is placed in different concentrations of salt solutions. They are left in the solution for a set time before being dried and weighed again. The difference in mass is then calculated. If an increase in mass has occurred, it means that the water was taken into the cells by osmosis. Therefore, a decrease in mass must mean that water has left the cells. The movement of water is dependent on the concentration gradient between the cell and the solution it is in. Active transport allows substances to be moved from a dilute solution to a more concentrated solution. For instance, root hair cells obtain mineral ions against the concentration gradient. There is a higher concentration of mineral ions in the soil and a lower concentration of them in the cell. This movement against the gradient requires energy from respiration. Cellular respiration takes place in mitochondria, and so root hair cells will have lots of mitochondria. Mineral ions are needed by plants for healthy growth. Another example is in the human gut. Glucose is absorbed into the blood against a large concentration gradient. Glucose is important for respiration.